What are you doing tonight? So Bill Clinton goes against Obama's gun control rights. That's the topic of tonight's video. Alright, so we're bringing in Luke today. Luke, how's it going?
Pretty good, how are you?
I'm doing great. Alright, so we always start off the same way. Anyway, I'm going to kick us off here with Bill Clinton's quote. So basically he was speaking to some Democratic donors, and he said about the gun control, he said, "Do not patronize the passionate supporters of your opponents by looking down your nose at them." Now, basically, he's against gun control, but he is for banning on high-capacity magazines. Basically, he was relating the gun control to different cultures, saying, well, some cultures, need guns more than others, and you might not live in one of the cultures that actually needs guns. But wasn't it under the Clinton administration that the first gun control law was passed that didn't work?
It wasn't the first gun control.
Well, you know what I mean, but I'm talking the most recent one. You know what I mean? That's what I meant, the most recent.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, so that... Clinton, and I think he kind of learned from that a little bit. I think it kind of turned him against the whole gun control deal when he realized, hey, this really didn't work for me. It didn't work out, so I'm going to advise President Obama to not push for this when it didn't work. And it hasn't really worked. And I think Bill Clinton's starting to see that, but he's trying to hide that with, I think he's trying to be smart about the way he goes about his politics and opposing gun control.
Well, and I think Bill Clinton's always been fairly moderate. I don't think he's really as strong, you know what I mean? I mean, he's a Democrat, but he hasn't always been, very... I mean, he's always been against Obama. And he's a pretty... Pardon?
He hasn't really been against Obama.
Well, he called him the amateur.
I think... Well, yeah, but he did speak for him at the debate, or at the presidential convention.
Well, so did Chris Christie, and then Chris Christie dogged on Mitt Romney, so...
I guess. But the main thing with Bill Clinton is that he's always, one of his big talents is he's always been a very well-spoken guy, Like, every time he talks, people tend to listen to what Bill Clinton has to say.
Yeah, I have respect for Bill Clinton. He's one of the few Democrats I'll actually listen to. Most of them are just way ridiculous by now. But do you think Obama will take a hint from this Bill Clinton, or do you think he's just going to kind of go along with?
I think he'll listen to it. I mean, Bill Clinton, he said, is one of his mentors. So that, I think he'll listen to it. I don't think he's going to I don't know. We'll have to, that's one of the things where you'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure. I could see where he pushes for extreme gun control, and I can see where he pushes for a little bit, and then backs off of it and leaves it alone. But I'm not really sure which way Obama's going to take on this.
Well, he already passed his gun control stuff, but Bill Clinton is against high-capacity magazines.
Well, it depends on what you mean by high-capacity magazines.
Well, he said
Here's
his exact quote about the high-capacity magazines. He says, "Why does anybody need one of those things that carries 100 bullets?" I mean, that's a little extreme.
Okay.
High-capacity magazines, we're talking, 40 rounds. We're not talking 100 rounds. You know what I mean?
Okay, so we're not talking the 15 rounds that New York City police officers are currently carrying. And under this New York law that they're passing, that will cut police rounds in a chamber to 7, because that'll stop crime in New York City.
Well, and they actually looked up on that. They are going to change the law and exempt police officers from that. I looked up.
They've talked about it, but it's just another thing where they pass a law so fast that nobody has time to read it, nobody pays attention to it, and it just becomes this ridiculous. It's just kind of ridiculous the way that these things get passed, and nobody pays attention. And I feel like that's going to happen with Obamacare too, where all of a sudden these things get into play that people didn't even know were in the bill until it actually gets passed through, and all of a sudden you have more people come out against it. But it's too late for that, and it's already going into...
Well, Obamacare is a different topic. I heard someone talking about gun control, saying, at a gun show, 2 people were accidentally shot, and I was thinking, what if you compared those 2 people who got shot and at the exact same time looked at Chicago and looked how many people got shot at that time in Chicago with all those gun control laws. You know what I mean? Like, compare this to... I wonder if there are more, accidental, and I say that in quotation marks, guns than, accidental gun shootings than murders with guns. Obviously, there's more murders. You know what I mean? And I was...
Yeah, and look at Chicago. The city of Chicago has the worst crime rate in all of America, and they just introduced this new gun law that limits handguns, and the crime rate has skyrocketed. It's ridiculously high even for Chicago's standards, and it's gone up. Because when you take away guns, the people who are left with the guns are the bad guys. So then you take away the good guys' guns, but the bad guys still have all their guns on the street. So the police are coming with a seven round handgun, and and then you have the bad guys coming with AK-47s and high-powered rifles because the police aren't allowed to carry those types of guns.
Well, and
the people who are allowed.
The criminals break the law. They're gonna get the guns illegally either way. You know what I mean? Like, there's already 300 million assault weapons on the street.
If you outlaw those guns, they don't go away. They go underground to the criminals.
Well, and there's already 300 million on the street. You know what I mean? That's more than 2 guns per family in the United States. So, anyway, well, that's all we have time for tonight. So, thanks for coming in, Luke.